headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam signals renewed focus on a digital economy and transformation. And Vietnam seeks solutions to upgrade the stock market. In our world news, U.S. Secretary of State pays visit to China.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Tenna with the top stories. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh chaired the 8th meeting of the National Committee on Digital Transformation on Wednesday, aiming to find strategies to strengthen the digital economic sector. Representatives from 63 provincial and cities' people's committees took part in the meeting online. The national digital transformation work has produced some positive results this year. Notably, over 86 million chip-based citizens' IDs were issued, 1.5 billion requests for information verification were submitted, and 46 million applications were sent through the National Public Service Portal. The information technology industry gained more than $36 billion in revenue in the first quarter, up nearly 18% over the same period. However, the Prime Minister also pointed out some limitations. He underlined the 3 enhancements in a digital transformation, including raising public's awareness of its importance, prioritizing resources to strengthen its potential, and promoting public-private cooperation for its development. The government leader also emphasized 5 steps in digital transformation, which are promoting institutional improvement, digital infrastructure development, innovation and entrepreneurship, human resources training, and cybersecurity. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh signed Directive Number 12 on solutions to promote socio-economic development. One of the key tasks in the directive is to implement necessary measures to upgrade Vietnam's stock market from a frontier market to an emerging market by 2025. The plan to deploy a new stock trading system according to global standards from May is expected to help Vietnam take another step forward in the upgrade process.
Securities companies are set to switch to the new KRX trading system from April 24 to April 30th, with official operation commencing on May 2nd. The exchange mandates proactive data preparation by these companies for the transition.
The synchronization process will ensure the smooth operation of the new trading system. The online apps will also be tested before the transition.
Securities companies also increase capital to support payments to foreign institutional investors according to upgraded criteria. This also helps decrease the ratio of domestic investor margin to equity by 30% compared to the end of last year.
The significant decrease in the margin to equity ratio provides quite a lot of room for the stock market.
To upgrade the stock market, the proposed solution is to allow securities companies with sufficient capacity to offer services without requiring foreign investors to have 100% of funds before placing purchase orders.
After the deadline for comments on the proposed solution, we will submit it to the Ministry of Finance for final approval. When approved, it will afford foreign investors who fail to settle a 2-day period for negotiations. This is a common practice in markets around the world that Vietnam is aiming for.
Emerging market capital flows are 200 times higher than those of frontier markets. Therefore, when upgraded, capital flows into Vietnam could increase by 5 to 7 billion US dollars and potentially reach about 25 billion US dollars by 2030.
After having to cancel once due to the lack of business participation and incomplete deposit procedures, on Monday, the gold auction was held at the State Bank of Vietnam Operations Center. 11 businesses and commercial banks participated in this bidding session. And at the end of Monday's gold bar auction, only 2 companies made bids and bought 20% of the gold bars the State Bank of Vietnam offered to sell on Tuesday in its first gold auction in 11 years.
At the end of the gold auction, there were only two winning bidders, SJC Company and ACB Bank. They bought a total of 3,400 taels out of the 16,800 that the central bank offered for sale. The transaction prices were slightly above the minimum set at the auction, with the gold being bought at $3,196.3 and $3,195.9 per tael.
The most important issue is the difference between domestic gold prices and international gold prices. I suggest the government to use taxes to regulate the price. By taxing, the state can collect budget revenue. Buyers must accept high prices if they want to buy gold. Therefore, the price of gold will approach the world price.
There needs to be synchronization and consistency in market management, such as taxation, electronic invoices, and market management. The State Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Industry and Trade, and the Ministry of Public Security must clearly assign roles in management.
By the end of Tuesday, the selling price of SJC gold was listed at $3,183.3 per tael, and the buying price was $3,273.7 per tael. At this price, SJC gold is still about $393 per tael, higher than the world price. According to the State Bank, in the future, it will continue to organize the next gold auctions to increase supply to the market.
Allocating direct remittance flows into infrastructure investment through bond issuance is necessary for Ho Chi Minh City to solve its capital shortage problem. According to experts, remittance flows to Vietnam are significant and continue to grow robustly. Last year, the amount of remittances to Ho Chi Minh City reached nearly $9.5 billion, triple the amount of foreign direct investment or FDI that the city attracted. In the first quarter of this year, remittances to the city set a record, reaching nearly $2.9 billion, an increase of over 35% from the same period last year. However, the main uses are for consumption, real estate, industry, and agriculture, while the infrastructure system requires significant investment. From 2020 to 2030, Ho Chi Minh City needs over $38 billion in investment capital for infrastructure development projects. Ho Chi Minh City Ring Road No. 3 is the largest regional transportation project in the south. It passes through 4 areas: Ho Chi Minh City, Đồng Nai, Bình Dương, and Long An. Currently, Đồng Nai has the slowest site clearance rate among these localities. To maintain overall progress, the province is actively working on solutions to speed up site clearance.
Nguyen's family is among the households in the Nguyen Trạch district through which Ring Road 3 passes. They have accepted a compensation plan for the local authorities at a rate of nearly 1.3 million Vietnamese dongs per square meter.
We have agreed to the compensation for site clearance proposed by the authorities. I believe all the residents have agreed to these rates. We support the state's projects.
Suong's family handed over 1,100 square meters of land for site clearance. Her family has recently received a total compensation of nearly 2.5 billion Vietnamese dongs and is waiting for the local authorities to arrange resettlement.
We are glad that a new road will be passing through our area. It will help our economy. I will give part of the compensation to my children and spend the rest on opening a small business.
The Ring Road No. 3 project passes through the district with a length of 5 kilometers, requiring land from 792 households. The district authorities have paid compensation and handed over 40% of the clearance site.
We will complete the compensation plan for all households in the area, and then we will make payments. We will develop a sufficient compensation plan and mobilize people to agree to it. We aim to hand over 100% of the land to the investors to carry on with the construction work as directed by the Prime Minister.
According to Resolution 73 of the government, the responsibility for site clearance compensation is assigned to district authorities. Nguyen Trạch district has proactively planned compensation for affected households. This assists the province in keeping pace with other localities, enabling the start of construction for Ring Road 3 as planned.
The Vietnam Trade Office in Singapore, along with several domestic businesses, participated in the region's largest FHA food and beverage event held in Singapore. This is a great opportunity for Vietnamese businesses to promote their products and seek international partners.
At the FHA Food and Beverage event, Vietnamese ambassador to Singapore Mai Phước Dũng and international guests cut the ribbon to open the Vietnamese product display area and visited the booths. This year, main products such as candy, fruit juice, and pepper at the 8 Vietnamese booths have made good impression on international partners.
And the Vietnam Pavilion is an important part of it. Vietnam is an important producer of many different types of foodstuffs, and this show in Singapore is extremely important for meeting people for exports and also for looking at trends for new shows. So come here, come to this exhibition. This is where you need to be if you want to do business in Asia.
We have launched a line of canned fruit products, syrups, and smoothies. Our canned products only use locally sourced ingredients and have undergone years of research. For example, there are many brands that produce canned mango products.
According to the Vietnamese ambassador to Singapore, besides the opportunity to promote local products and connect with foreign partners, Vietnamese businesses can learn how to process food from other countries and understand global trends in this field.
We hope the state agencies, the Ministry of Industry and Trade, and business associations will support businesses in participating in more events like this.
This year's event is expected to have 60,000 participants, with 70 product display areas from 50 countries and territories around the world. Vietnamese businesses will participate in the event until this Friday.
Now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, April 24th. Coming up next on VTV News. Border guards rescue young Vietnamese trafficking victim. And Điện Biên Phủ Historical Rendezvous exhibit opens. You're watching our VTV News Live. A 13-year-old Vietnamese girl was recently rescued after being trafficked to Laos. This was a joint effort by the Hà Tĩnh Border Guards and the Department of Drug and Crime Prevention and Control under the Vietnam Border Guard. The girl has safely arrived at the Co Chao International Border Gate in Hà Tĩnh Province and has received psychological and health support before returning to her family. The victim is from Muong Ang District, Điện Biên Province. In September 2022, the young girl fell victim to a scam on Facebook and was trafficked to Myanmar before being sold to a Chinese company in Laos. Forced into labor there, she wrote a petition for help. The Hà Tĩnh Border Guard is currently expanding their investigation in an attempt to apprehend other suspects involved in the trafficking ring. The exhibition Điện Biên Phủ Historical Rendezvous recently opened on Tuesday afternoon at the Vietnam Military History Museum in Hanoi. The exhibition introduces more than 300 images, documents, and artifacts. Many of these were also made public for the first time. Some notable ones include the conclusion of General Commander-in-Chief Võ Nguyên Giáp at the Điện Biên Phủ Campaign Staff Conference on February 7, 1954, the medium machine guns used by Hero Bế Văn Đàn's combatant unit in the battle at Muong Pôn District in Lai Châu Province in December 1953, and the French troops' map of Điện Biên Phủ. The exhibition honors the heroic victories and sacrifices of the martyrs in the fight for national liberation. It will remain open until the end of May. A ceremony was held to honor Hoàng Sa soldiers on a Wednesday morning at the An Vĩnh Communal House in Lý Sơn Island District. This event is a typical cultural practice of the local people and is also part of the Quảng Ngãi Tourism Week 2024. According to traditional customs, this ceremony is held every February or March of the lunar calendar, and it is meant to express gratitude towards the heroic soldiers who planted markers and erected stelae marking our country's sovereignty over the Hoàng Sa and Trường Sa archipelagos. At the same time, this ceremony also fuels the patriotism of younger generations and their determination to protect the country's sacred sovereignty over the sea and islands. According to locals, the ritual dates back about 400 years and has been preserved throughout generations. The commemoration ceremony for Hoàng Sa soldiers was recognized as a National Intangible Cultural Heritage in 2013. Since the beginning of the dry season, more than 6,000 households in the entire Long An province have faced a lack of water. Local authorities, armed forces, and benefactors have continuously provided support and water supply to promptly assist people in drought-stricken areas.
In order to provide immediate support to those experiencing water shortages, the Long An Party Committee and People's Council have organized activities to supply clean water to residents in the province. The Provincial Military Command has also mobilized vehicles and organized over 300 support trips to drought-stricken areas in the province. Nearly 11,000 households have been provided with about 1,300 cubic meters of water.
We are determined to direct forces to provide water to people until the drought ends.
Approximately 1,000 households in Cần Đước district are facing difficulties due to a lack of clean water, making it one of the localities heavily affected by drought and salinity in Long An. Residents are grateful for the water support provided by authorities and benefactors.
We are calling the benefactors to support people in overcoming the heat wave. The provincial authorities are planning to expand the capacity of water plants to increase water resources here. We aim to resolve the water shortage situation by next year.
We have to purchase water from a distant location and transport it here for use. This water cannot be used for drinking and is only used for agricultural production. Recently, the authorities and benefactors supported us with clean water, so our situation is better for now.
This year has experienced unprecedented early drought and saltwater intrusion, leading to severe water shortages. Timely support from authorities at all levels, the armed forces and benefactors, both inside and outside the province over the past few weeks, has helped people in the drought-stricken areas of Long An alleviate their hardships before the rain arrive in the coming week.
During the lunch break, instead of resting or chatting with friends, many office workers now choose to exercise despite their hectic schedules. Whether it's yoga or dance classes, people are committed to improving their health. Join us in the following story to learn more about this trend.
Exercising at noon is a common practice among many young people worldwide. Activities such as yoga, gym workouts, and dance classes, which typically last up to 60 minutes, are particularly popular. Recognizing this trend, Huong organized a variety of yoga classes at noon following the COVID-19 pandemic.
Since opening, our classes have always been full during lunch breaks. Many might assume that exercising at this hour is tiring, but those who attend are very energetic and cheerful.
A devout yoga practitioner for the past 3 years, Hạnh Nguyen spends almost all of her weekday lunches at the studio. As a result, her lower back pain has greatly improved.
I used to hang out with friends during lunch breaks. However, joining yoga classes actually became the time I let my mind and body rest.
After finishing her morning shift around 11:15, Mi chooses to join dance classes instead of taking a nap in the office. She believes that working out twice a week is enough to keep her body active and flexible.
The dance class only lasts 1 hour, but I feel this is quality time for my body and mind. It helps me reduce stress, release my energy, and most importantly, improve my health.
For Mai, dancing has been her passion for more than 10 years now. Despite being 5 months pregnant, she still enjoys dance classes at noon to satisfy her passion.
I'm an office worker and have a family, so noon is my time for myself. Secondly, the studio is close to my company, so it's convenient for travel.
I aim to keep my dance classes at noon to a maximum of 60 minutes with light exercise, so that participants can return to work afterwards. If your body and mind are healthy, you will work more efficiently.
Coming up next in our world news. U.S. Secretary of State pays visit to China. And EU extends Ukraine's agricultural product tax exemption. Now moving on to our world news. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Beijing today, commencing its visit to China. This latest diplomatic move by the U.S. aims to strengthen relations between the U.S. and China amidst recent disagreements over trade and other issues. China, on the other hand, maintains that bilateral relations remain stable despite Washington's actions that harm Beijing's interests. During Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit, China will concentrate on enhancing understanding and dialogue, managing disagreements, and promoting a mutual beneficial cooperation and shared responsibility. Chinese diplomatic officials stress the importance of maintaining a stable and a sustainably developed relationship between the two countries. The Swedish army is conducting its first military exercises since the country joined NATO last month. The live-fire exercise involves 200 Swedish soldiers, along with tanks and artillery, stimulating a response to an enemy landing on the island. The exercise is being held on the island of Gotland. This island, with a population of more than 60,000 people, is located in the center of the Baltic Sea and is an important strategic point for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, which protects the 3 nearby Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, all members of NATO. Meanwhile, Russia continues to consider the Baltic region its strategic priority. NATO's activities in this area are likely to further increase tensions between Russia and NATO. The European Parliament voted on Tuesday in favor of a year-long extension of duty exemption for Ukrainian agricultural products, while also introducing new restrictions on import levels to appease opposition from EU farmers. Thus, the tax exemption for imports from Ukraine, which took effect in June 2022, will continue until June 2025. The EU and Ukraine aim to establish a longer-term agreement after this point. In terms of new restrictions, the European Commission's initial proposal stipulated that tariffs would apply to poultry, eggs, and sugar if imports exceeded the average of 2022 and 2023. EU lawmakers added oats, cereals, corn, and honey to the list. The new measures will be applied on June 6. In recent years, an increasing number of businesses in the renewable energy sector have seen opportunities in both developed and emerging markets. Home to 50% of the world's population and contributing 1/3 to global GDP, the Asia-Pacific region has been identified as the center of renewable energy investment opportunities and is set to become the global leader in energy transition.
In the scorching Kutch Desert of Gujarat, India, thousands of workers are constructing the Kavda Renewable Energy Park, the world's largest renewable energy park. Set to be completed in 2027, Kavda will span an area of 726 square kilometres, roughly the size of New York City. It will be capable of generating 30 gigawatts of solar and wind power, sufficient to power 18 million people, more than the combined populations of London and New York.
India is to achieve net zero by 2070, as Prime Minister Modi had said it would. Obviously, investments in clean energy and greater incremental reliance on clean energy.
The Asia-Pacific region, being the largest and most diverse market for electricity and renewable energy production, is responding urgently and responsibly to calls for a green transformation.
We must also capitalize on the momentum afforded by COP28 to pursue a tripling of renewable energy capacity globally and a doubling of the global average annual rate of energy-efficient improvements.
According to the consulting company Wood Mackenzie, in Asia-Pacific, the supply of low-carbon energy is forecast to increase from 35% to 75% by 2050, while the proportion of wind and solar energy is expected to rise to more than 54%. By 2050, nearly 50% of the world's new low-carbon technology opportunities are expected to occur in Asia-Pacific.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app at VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.